Thank you for tuning in to All About the Arcades, Episode 6. My name is Joe, also known as JJ General 1. Just want to put it out there for you guys that this will be a two-part series before the actual podcast starts, and this will be part 1. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, also known as JJ General 1. Today, guys, we have a very, very special guest. I've been waiting to get this person on for quite some time. His name is Phil Marzullo, and he is the founder of Gamergreen, which you guys know I am part of their ambassador program and help promote the company, things like that. So, Phil, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thanks, Joe. I love your intro music. It's kind of arcadey, and then I don't know. There's something I like about it.
Well, thank you. You talk about the podcast intro music?
Yeah, like I was envisioning. I didn't get to hear the intro as we started, but I know like how it starts in the beginning, and I feel like I like that. It's just arcadey. I just kind of like it. It reminds me of like, I don't know, like Super Mario or something like kind of old school arcadey or video gamey, and I dig it.
Well, thank you very much. It actually is a track from the Epidemic Sound, I believe it is.
Okay.
And I pay a monthly subscription to them to use their music on my YouTube channel, so I don't get any copyright claims against their stuff. But I believe the title of it is like Game Boy with Heavy Beats or something like that.
See?
So it is,
school.
Yeah, it is like a Nintendo type track. So you hit it right on the head.
Back from like my time. I mean, I'm like an old guy now, and that's like, it's interesting because like I feel like I was like the first sort of generation to start growing up with like gaming and video games and stuff like that, and now it's just like so integrated into like every facet of our lives is sort of like gamified. Everything. It's crazy. Absolutely.
And I mean, that's just getting down to the apps on the phones anymore now too. I mean, everyone has a smartphone pretty much, and there's an app for everything from games to whatever. But we'll get into that a little bit later about the app and things like that with Gamergreen and all that. But the first thing we want to ask you, Phil, is who are you? Who is Phil Marzullo? What do you do in life? What got you to this point? And maybe a little bit of background about yourself. Any degrees you have, maybe some colleges you went to, maybe some places you've lived. If you have any interesting quick stories or anything like that, we just want to kind of delve into who is Phil Marzullo.
Well, that's a really big question. I'll try to take some chunks out. And I also like the podcast, like setup, like it's more like a chill sort of like get like a cup of like something warm and like sit under a blanket and listen to a podcast. That's like what I imagine. Like it's very NPR. And like YouTube is like super like in your face and get people to like watch for the next several minutes. It's just like I like this format for me better. I like the format of podcasts. I think it's like just nice to listen and chill out to it.
Oh yeah, and I always make these available to download either through SoundCloud or on iTunes now, and people can listen to them at their leisure. They can start them and stop them as they please.
I listened to the Arcade Dad one the other night, like in bed. Like I probably fell asleep to it, but that's okay. It was good. I heard everything maybe like while I was sleeping, like it was like downloaded into my brain, and but I don't know. I love that stuff. Okay, to your question. So who am I? What am I doing here? I guess it kind of goes back to what I was just talking about with like kind of growing up in a gamify or wanting to kind of gamify everything. I'm 42 years old. So I feel like I'm an old guy. I used to not be an old guy, and then all of a sudden, like, I am an old guy now. And that happens. You'll be surprised how, like, all of a sudden that happens and people tell you that, but it's really true. Take it from me. But like, I've always had, like, game consoles in my life. I've always, like, liked arcade and stuff like that. And, you know, when I was growing up, it wasn't as, like, readily available as it is today. You know, like we were talking about, everything's sort of gamified. Even like healthcare, like there's some healthcare organizations that they're kind of gamifying the experience of being healthy, where they give you like discounts if you like hit different achievements or whatever. So like everything's sort of gamified, and that's like, it's awesome. You know, I think probably my generation has been probably the core of the people that are driving it, and then all the people that are younger, you know, it's just more and more integrated into their lives. So I guess that's always kind of been like the core of who I am. Like, I love gamification. I'm a very like competitive guy. I'm really like mellow and chill. If people don't like realize how competitive I am, but I'm like ultra competitive. So that's kind of been at the core. And, you know, I grew up in a small suburb in the Chicago area, out like right by the O'Hare Airport, with a pretty like lower class family. My parents were divorced. In fact, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom for a long time, and you know, just trying to like make it, you know. I'm sure a lot of people out there kind of get that. And, you know, barely, like, I never really, school was never my thing. Like, I was never really, like, interested in school. I always felt like I just want to work. And my grades reflected that. And now that I have kids now, and now that's, like, my worst nightmare, you know, like, you know, but I never really applied myself in school, and my grades sort of showed it.
I definitely, Phil, I was right there with you. I was one of those guys. In fact, I'm an absolute procrastinator to any point where I did my homework in homeroom the next day, and things like that. And like, even coming up with this podcast, like almost every podcast I've done, I'm writing the script literally an hour before I'm recording it, which is crazy, because it's like I know I know I have to do it. Like all weekend I was like, I have to write this, but it comes down to the last minute, and then I just kind of like just happens, like just crazy flow of creativity just happens.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I guess we're in the same boat there. I don't know. I mean, as I've gotten older and more in business, I have to prepare more. But today was a good example. I've had to prepare something for a really big meeting that I have in 2 days from now, and I just couldn't get motivated to do it. Now I'm like down to the wire tomorrow to do it. But so at any rate, you know, so I went through kind of, you know, grade school and middle school, and then high school, and like, you know, I barely made it out of high school, like with terrible grades. And like my freshman year, I remember like failing algebra, and then I had to like take it over in summer school, and they just like I barely got out of high school. And shortly, I didn't go to college right away after high school. In fact, I went and got a job. I've been in weird, kind of interesting industries. The job that I got into was like a sales assistant for a company that sells machines that makes boxes. Like, so obscure, like it's a super obscure thing. And I started doing that, and then I started making money, and then I started dabbling in college, and I I didn't do it. It wasn't. I didn't follow through in college, and I regret that. I wish that I had that foundation. And I think the thing that is most important, I learned so much. I think I consider myself a pretty educated guy. I've done lots of travels, I've read books, I've been involved in so many businesses. But I think what the one kind of key core thing that happens as a young person that kind of goes through the motions is just following through, like having a commitment and following through with it and achieving something. And I think kind of that, gaining that at the core and at like a pivotal time in being a person, I think is really important. So I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't finish college, and I've been lucky in life. I've worked hard, but I've gotten lucky, so I've found a level of success. But if it means anything to anybody that ever listens to this, it's just think you don't really know it when you're like in it, when you're like 18, 20 years old or something. It doesn't seem important, but then all of a sudden you blink your eyes and you're 42 years old and you look back and you're like, you see things a little differently. Things kind of change. So I don't know if there's anybody in a pivotal point in their life, I would say just go through the motions, no matter how hard it is, just do it.
Yeah, stick with stuff and see it through to completion. But it's kind of funny you mentioned that you didn't do college, if you will, like you kind of dabbled in it, but I guess you didn't finish. And it's kind of funny because you hear a lot of creative people and a lot of business savvy people that didn't go to college or didn't finish college. And it's kind of like you followed that path because you said you were talking about your different businesses and everything. And that kind of segues us into our next topic that I have written down is, I did a little bit of research on you, Phil, before I did this. And I came across a website. You may know that you have your own website. And, the businesses are listed there. And it's actually kind of interesting, the different things that you're involved in, that I had no idea. I thought it was just Gamergreen. I didn't realize you had these other businesses out there. And so I wanted to ask just a little bit about those. And I didn't mean to cut you off from telling the rest of your story there. But, just kind of got to keep it moving here a little bit.
I hear you.
No, it's fine. But like the first one that I came across was the Loyalty Reward Network. Now, what is that?
So, some things that are out there are kind of ideas that have barely gotten off the ground, and Loyalty Reward Network is one of those. But essentially, what Gamergreen is a loyalty rewards platform. So I like to say that amusement, loyalty rewards is like everybody's got them, right? Like it was the buy 6 subs or can get the 7th one for free, or it was, you go to the grocery store, you go to this and that, and everything's loyalty rewards. And nobody's proved me wrong yet. I like to say that amusement started loyalty rewards with the carnival business, 100 years ago, which is essentially redemption, which is do this action, play this game, throw the ball in a glass or around this, and we're going to incentivize you for that action by giving you X amount of tickets, or we're going to give you this teddy bear. So to me, the core, which is really what drives me most to kind of the loyalty reward business, is because the core of it is amusement, and that's kind of at the core of who I am. So when we sort of thought of Gamergreen, the way I initially envisioned it is, and may still someday be, a truly open platform loyalty reward business that incentivizes people in a gamified fashion for doing things. Today we're focused in the amusement space, right? We're focused on those claw machines, and we're focused on redemption games. But tomorrow, what's not to say we can't work with a grocery store or Walmart and incentivize you with our currency to buy something or do some specific action, like go somewhere, check in somewhere. So when you're an entrepreneur, and being a YouTuber, you could probably understand this, is you just got to kind of throw a bunch of stuff against the wall, right? And whatever sticks, you got to kind of follow.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's all about finding out what works for you. I mean, there's so much out there. As you bring up YouTube, there's so many different types of entertainment on YouTube itself that there's something for everyone. And it's crazy that and you try to inject yourself into this, whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy doing and you want to film yourself doing, if you're into that kind of thing. So not a lot of people are into being filmed or things like that, but you find out what works for you, and you kind of try to insert yourself into that group of people that's already out there. Because I mean, no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody that's already done it. Usually,
right? It's tens of thousands. And by the way, I'm terrible on camera. It's like my worst attribute. That's why I really like this format, because this is where I get to be really me. When a camera turns on, I'm like terrified for some reason, but
and that's why you made Matt the face of Gamergreen. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, not me. Believe me, I never wanted Gamergreen to be about me. I wanted Gamergreen to be about Gamergreen. I really wanted that separation, and I'm just one of the people that kind of helps make it run. But I guess, so quickly going back to Loyalty Reward Network, that is an avenue that we explored to provide loyalty rewards for different segments. Could be retail, could be restaurants, could be education. One of my long-term goals would be to be involved in the education side and to really make a difference in the world, be able to help kids graduate or help kids be better at school, and maybe Gamergreen can be an incentive that might help a kid kind of get to that next level. So that's really what Loyalty Reward Network is. It's never really gotten off the ground. We really decided to focus on the brand of Gamergreen. Initially, just kind of calling it Gamergreen, we felt like it kind of pigeonholes us into being specifically in gaming. And then we just kind of took a step back and said, well, why can't, kind of like what we're talking about now, is why can't just sort of everything be gamified? Why that's a great core of what we can be if we can kind of gamify. So we kind of took a step back from Loyalty Reward Network and focusing on the Gamergreen brand.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of funny you bring up Gamergreen too, because Gamergreen is one of the is the main topic of the podcast. Obviously, being mostly associated with the arcades and everything. As you said, there maybe there's plans down in the future to use the Gamergreen currency that is known as G's for other incentives, down the line at some point. But that's one of the other businesses that I came across as well, obviously, that I know about. But there's two more, and maybe just touch on them real quickly. They just kind of came up, and it was interesting to see. One of them is called Kerplunk, and it's a social media network marketed for tweens, I believe it said.
Mm-hmm. So, well, it's Kerplunk. You were close.
Oh, okay.
That's the Green Day album, is Kerplunk. But it's Kerplunk, and so that's how Gamergreen started. So Gamergreen was initially Kerplunk, and maybe one of the other companies you may ask about, I can't remember if it's on that site or not, is Top Notch Toys.
Yep, that's the fourth one that I had. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to answer two questions in one. So I was involved in a business called Top Notch Toys. Top Notch Toys designed, manufactured, and distributed the little toys inside of the vending capsules, like in the bulk in the gumball machine things.
The things are like a quarter or 50 cents, and you have to. Some of them are really hard to open. Yes.
Yeah. So I was in that business, and the business was struggling. That whole world is sort of struggling because most brick and mortar businesses are having a hard time even surviving today, kind of competing with Amazon and whatever. But also people don't, and look at Toys R Us just went out of business, but people, the companies don't want that device, that machine, that ugly old school machine in their vestibules or taking up any space. So the market is really shrinking. And while it's shrinking, I'm kind of struggling to keep my head above water. And I wanted people to buy more of our capsules. So I came up with this idea of creating a loyalty platform in the capsules. And capsules, the target market for capsules is 13 and under. So we developed this platform called Kerplink, and it's essentially Gamergreen. So we put little slips of paper inside of the capsule with the toy. The piece of paper had an alphanumeric code on it that you would enter in to get, we called the currency plinks at the time. So you would get yourself some plinks, and it was the same kind of experience. And then we had some other, we just had a website, and we had some games in there that you could play on the website, and we would incentivize kids for being creative, sending us drawings, sending us videos, sending us something. We would post it up on the site, and then we were moving into kind of creating a social network for kids under 13. So we kind of followed that path for a little bit, and sort of the industry said, that's a great idea, but we don't want it for that. We want it for claw machines. And as an entrepreneur, you listen, you got to try to take your cues, and this is for anything. I mean, we'll same with the tens of thousands of YouTubers, I guess, if they want to become viral or make a gazillion dollars, I guess you have to listen to what gets traction, and then sort of pivot. And then for us, we saw that the claw machines had the traction. There was more money there, so we pivoted, and we essentially reskinned what was Kerplink, and we made that Gamergreen. We had Kerplink running and Gamergreen running at the same time. We designed Gamergreen to be geared more towards somebody in their 20 to 30 range, somewhere in there. So that's what happened, and we left them running kind of side by side for a while. And recently we just retired the site, and National Entertainment Network actually still had. We're actually kind of redoing the test of getting currency out of the capsules. So now it's just Gamergreen. So you could actually get Gamergreen and some capsules out there. We're trying to kind of get that program off the ground. So yeah, so that's a good find and a neat piece of history for those that don't know that we started as Kerplink. Probably nobody knows, but that's that was kind of the evolution of how it all went down.
Interesting. So basically, Gamergreen is the amalgamation. I can't say the word. Amalgamation of Loyalty Reward Network, Kerplink, and Top Notch Toys all together.
Yeah. We were trying to do something with Top Notch Toys, right? Out of desperation, I needed to put food on the table, and that's essentially how the platform was born. And then along the way, for the last 4 years, we've continued to sort of pivot as we listen and look for where we're gaining traction, and just try to, you're essentially just kind of following the money. You know, where can you make money to survive, to grow, to thrive, you know, that sort of thing.
And that's kind of interesting. So you've actually answered a couple of questions that I have, a couple of bullet points I wanted to touch on a little bit later on in the podcast. You know, the next topic was going to be the company Gamergreen itself, and you actually kind of touched on what I wanted to get into with, you know, how did you start it and the overall goal, and you've hit that already. It's kind of funny, but there are a couple more topics underneath the Gamergreen tag that I have. That, like, one of the things is, you know, how did you come to work with Sugarloaf and NEN, National Entertainment Network, and getting out there, like, into the claw machines on site, things like that? How did that come about? That, like, hey, you know, okay, every bowling alley I go to, or when it was around Toys R Us, or even like a grocery store, or even like, you know, a restaurant here or there have claw machines, and, you know, hey, these are all run by this one company, or most of them are run by one company, and there's a couple different companies out there, but NEN Sugarloaf has the biggest presence, I believe, second to, if anyone, a Namco. But you know, most of the machines you see are either one of those two companies, pretty much. You don't really see any other third parties.
Yeah.
And, like, getting out there, how did you get the Gamergreen name recognized out there, that people would realize, hey, oh, I won this bear. Oh, there's a tag on it. Now I can, you know, redeem for these G's as they are for the currency.
Yeah. So with Top Notch Toys, when I was in the business of the capsules, National Entertainment Network happened to be our number one customer. So, when I got involved in the business, I got to know NEN and the people over there, and we actually are now very close friends. But you know, as I'm trying to get them to buy more capsules, and then we came up with the Kerplink idea. NEN, right around the time where we came up with the Kerplink concept and sort of built it out. Now, understanding how to be an entrepreneur, I would have never built the thing out. I literally built it out and then went and pitched it, which is a big gamble. But we built it out, and we sat in front of, they had a new CEO that they just brought in at the time we were pitching. And this gentleman had a lot of loyalty reward experiences from years ago. And you know, that's when they're like, well, yeah, this is a great idea. We don't, you know, it's not great for capsules, but it's great for claw machines. I didn't even know, when they told me that, and when we kind of spun Gamergreen, I didn't even know that claw machines were like a thing. Like, then I started like looking around, like, and, you know, like Googling and YouTube, and I'm like, holy crap, this is like a whole thing. So I was very naive to that, and then I'm like, whoa, you know, this is crazy that it's like a viral thing. Like, people really are into it. And then when I started playing it, I'm like, oh, okay, I totally get why it's addicting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so with NEN, you know, they're like, okay, well, do claw machines. And then I like went right back to the drawing board, and literally within like 2 weeks, we rebranded, you know, reskinned it Gamergreen. I went back and I showed it to them, I pitched it to them, and they're like, okay, we'll give you a 200 machine test. So we launched, before Plush, we launched with, which is still alive today, I can't believe this program is still alive, is Prize Pagoda, which is the little Chinese takeout boxes. So we launched with 20 machines. I think maybe I want to say we started in the Texas market, and it was just like it started to kind of gaining traction, and in the store had like, I don't know, it had like 20 items in it, and I made the items like so cheap, like ridiculously cheap. Like we were losing tons of money on each one, but we wanted to sort of get it kind of going. Oh, I take it back. We didn't launch in Texas. We launched in California because I can't remember. I want to find like the YouTuber that he was like, not like a, like a YouTuber with like tons of subscribers, but I don't know. I think he had, I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers or something, and he was like one of the first people to do a Gamergreen. He did an unboxing. That was like our first like video out there, and we were just like so excited, and it was so, the prize he got was so valuable for so little G tickets, but it was just us trying to gain some credibility, and everybody's skeptical, so we wanted to make sure that we started kind of getting the word out there that, hey, this is like a real thing. Nobody's getting ripped off. You're really going to get something. So we sort of started that way. Did the 20 machine test, and then it moved to 2,000 machines, and then I don't know, I want to say like a year later, as we continued to show growth with NEN and show more profitability with them, then we did a kind of a company-wide thing with Plush, and then also running a couple of different mystery campaigns like Prize Pagoda. So yeah, I mean, they have been, instrumental in kind of helping create the brand, and we had we have an exclusive agreement with them that actually ends this year. That's sort of bittersweet because we're, like I said, I've become such good friends with them, real friends, not like business, like real friends. We have barbecues at each other's houses and stuff. So, it's like kind of like we're going to be like all grown up starting next year, being able to kind of introduce our platform to the rest of the industry, and we're doing some really cool stuff. So it's exciting for Gamergreen as a company, but then, kind of like bummed out because I had such a close thing, close friendship with them. So that's really the path we've taken.
It's kind of interesting that you're saying this because, I mean, this is obviously some news that, not a lot of people know about yet, except for those that are possibly in the industry, and maybe like the vendors that handle the machines as well. But like, it's kind of funny you say that about the Prize Pagoda, because that was the first way that I found out about it. And that was actually through Matt. I was helping him film, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got contacted by this company. They want me to do a video and this and that. And, you basically be the spokesperson of introducing what is Gamergreen." And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't know what it is." And then he started winning these things, and he put me in the video, and it was at a Walmart, and just craziness. And we were winning boxes, and like, "Oh man, let's check it out. There's these things inside." And then you go redeem them, and you can actually get prizes from them. And it's like, that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, that video still, it's still how it. Actually, no, we have the animated video for how it works now, but that video I was so excited to get that video, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and I know you were in it. That's when I was sort of introduced to you, and I really started taking note of kind of the other content creators in the industry. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and very exciting.
Absolutely, and you say the industry, but actually we call it the niche on YouTube. We have that arcade niche that there's I mean, there's a ton of people that do it, and it's totally awesome because sometimes I get to see, this is kind of a little tangent here, but there's times I get to see games that I don't get to play because there's nowhere around here that has them, and then there's other times where I get to play games like the arcade up by me here, Fun for All, has been getting exclusive games from ICE lately, and Matt and I get to play them when we put them out there, and everybody gets to see them, and they're like, oh, I want to play that so bad, and it's like, well, sorry, but it's, this is the only location that has it right now as a test location.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things that you just find kind of funny that, when I started watching arcades on YouTube, I mean, I've been involved in the arcade since I was, 6 years old, going to the mall with my parents, and oh, hey, look, there's purple neon signs, and it says Tilt, and there's skee-ball machines, and I can win like 7 Tootsie Rolls with 2 tickets or something, like that. That's how it was back then. The late 80s is when I got into it. So, I mean, I've been into the arcades for 30 years, but I had no idea until, I want to say 2012-ish, I started watching stuff on YouTube, and like, this existed.
Right.
And it's like,
So
I can't believe there's other people out there that enjoy this stuff like me, and they actually film themselves doing it. So now I get to see it.
So I take it then you met Matt through that niche, so to speak.
I started off, so I forget how I found his channel. I think it was through like Stacker or Coin Pusher or something like that. He put out those videos like how to win or how to tell if it's rigging you, things like that. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm learning something. And I started off as a fan of Matt. And then when I realized that, like, I watched one of his fan mail videos, and he said, hey, send your mail to Pittsburgh, PA. And I'm like, holy crap, this dude is local.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to meet him someday. So then I noticed he does meet and greets. And I'm like, well, okay, I want to go to the meet and greet. And he had them at like Steel City Con, where you have to pay like $40 to get in. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay $40 just to get in to just meet this dude, because there's nothing else I want to do at this convention. So I waited till when he did one of his free ones, and then I went and hung out with him at up in Erie, PA. Actually, I drove, and my wife gives me crap about it still to this day. She's like, can you believe that, you drove an hour and a half to go meet this dude you didn't even know, that you follow on the internet? And I was like, yeah, but I want to meet him.
He's a very charismatic guy, and, we've had him out for several meet and greets, and people drive for, hours. When we did the one in Massachusetts, people drove for multiple hours, and then the one we did in Wisconsin, like, people were driving for like 4 or 5 hours. So it's crazy.
It's incredible how far that they'll come to meet him. And I've had a couple of meet and greets myself, and I've had a few fans come 2-3 hours away too, and it's like, I can't believe people want to do that just to come play games with me or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But yeah, I started as a fan, and then we started talking, and since we're, I'm 35, well, I'm going to be 35 in a couple of days after recording this podcast, and Matt is 31, we're really close in age, so we kind of got along, and we had the same stuff growing up, so we the same background and things like that, so it just kind of flowed as a friendship. And next thing I know, I'm helping him film, and he's telling me, hey, you need to build this channel up, and put yourself out there because you're a good jackpot hitter and things like that. So, but again, we're on tangent, but no, it's okay. Like I said, this is
what a podcast is, man.
And this is one of the discussions that I love getting into with the podcast stuff, is just, you get to relax with people, and it's kind of like you're sitting in a room with them. And sometimes sometimes I record in person with people. You sit in a room and you're just shooting the what. So
right. Yeah. No, I like the format. I'm telling you, I like it. I like that you're that you're dabbling in this. I hope it's successful for you, because I think it's it's just something different, something different, and format's cool.
Oh yeah, and like I said, before I started this, guys, if you're still listening with us at this point, thank you so much. I started this podcast because I did some research out there, and I noticed that there was not any arcade podcast out there. Like, nobody was talking to arcade owners or gamers or about the arcades or anything like that. And it was like, you know what? There's somewhere I can start something. And you know, you yourself saying, you know, being an entrepreneur, you know, that's kind of a point that you look for is what's out there, what's not out there, and can I create it?
Yep. And if you get traction, then you put more. You know, you can't ever expect traction instantly, but if you give it enough effort in whatever you do, and you see some traction, and then you put a little bit more into it, and then you invest more time or more whatever. I mean, that's the way it works.
Yep, you slowly grow it, and I mean, if it turns into something, it turns into something. If it doesn't, you know, I honestly don't care. I do it for fun. I love doing it. All the guests I've had on so far, Matt, Mewtwo Struck Back, you know, Tony Arcade Dead. I've had quite a few people on, and it's just been incredible that things you learn about people, and then like similarities in your background of how you got into the arcades or things like that, and it just, you know, you find new stuff about people, and it's like, this is awesome. So.
Right. Maybe you should be like David Letterman and grow a big beard, and we could sit and we just have a talk. You know what I mean? Maybe that's your thing.
Maybe I need a desk in front of me and an audience in the crowd, and I could be like Jimmy Fallon and you know, whatever. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, getting back to our topic at hand, you know, you were talking about the claw machines and things like that. So now you've expanded into, and you talked about the you know, meet and greet in Wisconsin and things like that. And there was a reason why you had that meet and greet, was launching one of the very first Gamergreen arcades, and an actual like on-site playing those ticket games you play elsewhere, except earning G's for it instead of like tickets for a redemption counter that's in the arcade. And so what was behind the decision of that? And you may have, like I said, you may have touched on this a little bit earlier, on the fact of growing, you know, seeing how the business is expanding and where it's headed, and keeping your finger on the pulse of society. You know, what was the decision to expand into like an actual physical arcade location like that, and, you know, doing the G tickets like that?
Yeah, so we believe that there is a need for a micro family entertainment center concept, you know, so the FEC world today with the main events or the Dave and Buster's, it's like a booming industry. It's the game manufacturers are just like, they're booming, and that industry is booming, but it's sort of it's going to start tailing off soon. There aren't going to be as many of those built anymore. They're going to kind of slow down and try to get returns on their investments. But we feel that there's a strong need for that type of experience, but in a micro. We've called it micro FEC. And so what a micro FEC would be like, let's say you go to your local pizza place, and in your local pizza place there's a room that maybe is 2,000 feet or less, maybe 500 square feet to 2,000 square feet, that has 8 to 12 arcade style games. That would be a redemption room, a set up as a room where it would be tickets to prizes. And we think that you know, the ticket to prize kind of world is so booming in the family entertainment space. People, especially I hate to say the word because it's so cliche, but millennials, they want more value for the experience, for that dollar they put in or that 50 cents. They want more value. So besides just the gameplay, they like getting the tickets, so they can kind of save up and get something. And when you have a fun center, there's a tremendous amount of expense that goes into a prize counter, both from you have to have a lot of staff, and then you have to have this big, huge prize counter. You have to have tons of inventory. You have to kind of keep up with that. So it traditionally, your local pizza joint or sandwich place, or even a little space in a strip mall, you wouldn't be able to create that experience. But with Gamergreen, you kind of have that opportunity. And so we launched kind of our first test called 10X, 10X Game Room. We called it that because the traditional ticket to prize redemption games out there, Gamergreen's kind of currency is on a 10 times multiplier. So where you would normally win 100 tickets in a traditional family entertainment center, you're going to get 1,000 Gamergreen tickets. It's sort of how our math works. And so we branded it 10X, so we didn't have to mess with any of the games to make the numbers match what was on Gamergreen. And we just sort of got that. We launched it in a very rural setting. It's in the, it's near Green Bay, Wisconsin. There's 2,000 people in the whole town, and cornfields all around. So we figured if we can make this sort of concept work there, and no offense to my friends in Pulaski, Wisconsin, we felt like we could make it anywhere, because launching it, it's a technology sort of platform launch. People have never seen this before. If we drop this game room in downtown San Francisco, that the capital of the world for technology, it's kind of a no-brainer. Oh, download an app. Oh, do this, no problem. But putting it in sort of middle America, in the middle of nowhere, we felt like that would be a good test. So we launched the concept there, and we did have Matt come out, and he brought his he didn't bring, but people. He did some social media blasts, and then we did. I don't know. There's in and around that neighborhood, I think there were 15,000 existing Gamergreen players. So we reached out to all them and did social media and stuff, and got everybody out. We had a great time, and the game room is proving to be a success. It's continues to increase revenue for itself, and then it's next door to like a pizza place, or it's like a pizza sandwich place. And because people are staying to play games, well, they're gonna buy that extra piece of pizza or get that extra thing. So it's helping their revenues also. So it's sort of creating that family entertainment experience, because there's food and beverage right next door. So that's how we got launched with that. And with NEN, we expanded on the West Coast with this concept with a company called Round Table Pizza. So they have those little spaces. I think the biggest one is 1,000 square feet. Maybe their smallest is like 200 or 300 square feet. And we're in 12 of those on the West Coast, the small game room experience. So yeah, we think there's a nice opportunity there, something that is not in the market, something that needs to be in the market, as the industry sort of evolves.
That's interesting, because I mean, honestly, I know you're bombarded all the time through Twitter and things like that, and people asking, hey, when are you opening up a new location here or new location there? Ever since the whole Matt one, and even the other one in Boston as well, the thing up there too, and near Boston, I think it's Warburn or something like that.
It was. I forget what the name of the city was, but yeah, it was around Boston.
Yeah, I believe it started with a W, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. But everybody's like, oh yeah, when's that? When are you guys going to open one near me or this and that? And I honestly, I didn't know about the ones in California with Round Table Pizza. I mean, maybe I just haven't haven't been keen on the social media posts, or maybe
Well,
I
we
missed
market
it.
on social media for that side. We market it specifically to the areas around the game room. So unless you're there, you wouldn't see the marketing pieces likely. Sometimes we'll do like a national thing where we call it out, but generally we just focus on the markets where it's available. So to your point, so we don't drive people crazy and say, well, that's great, but I can't play it. And we're hoping sort of our coming out party as we kind of enter into the general industry will be kind of coming out at IAPA this year, which is a big amusement trade show. Like all the arcade stuff is there. They have like, amusement park stuff and, haunted house stuff. It's just like amazing. If you haven't gone, it's something to go do at some point. It's in Orlando. It's really fun. So we'll be kind of coming out to the industry there, and we hope that other companies like NEN or even entrepreneurs that want to create a space, now they kind of have an opportunity to do that. They have the opportunity to provide a redemption gaming experience that they've never had the opportunity to do before. And as a matter of fact, today, our app that updated in the store has a new integration. The way we launched, again, when you launch something, you kind of do it kind of ugly and not the best way. And the way you would play a game, let's say play skee ball. After the end of the game, there's like this box like connected to the game that you push a button and it like calculates how many G tickets and it spits out a receipt, and then you scan it with your Gamergreen app. But what we've done as of today, we are going to be able to launch game rooms that have a traditional kind of player card that you're accustomed to. You go, get your, fill it up with cash at the kiosk, and then the player card keeps track of all of your tickets. So now at Gamergreen enabled arcade rooms, they're on the back of the card. There's a unique identifier, like a barcode or something. You'll scan that with your Gamergreen app, and then that'll pull all of your tickets off of that card and keep it in your Gamergreen app. And you just have to do it once. You can play with that card forever, and it's just all in your Gamergreen app. So that's that we just launched that today. Will be the first game room that'll be launched will be next around the 24th, and that's another West Coast thing with that integration.
Oh wow! I mean that's incredible. So you're basically having cards now, like you would at the major chain arcades, like a player's card that you can just use directly. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You were talking about IAPA there, and for those of you that don't know or listening to this, that's IAAPA, and it stands for the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. It is a big thing every year. In fact, I was talking about like Fun for All up here in Cranberry. They actually send a lot of their managers and their game techs down there to see the new games, decide what to do maybe for their business, what to get, and things like that. So that is a pretty big thing for a lot of arcade owners and operators, things like that. And it's not just, amusement parks and things like that. There's a lot more to it. I've heard a lot about it, and I would love to attend it, but if finances would ever work out for me that way, I would absolutely love to attend that one day. But yeah, so a lot of new games are launched at IAPA. A lot of demo games are brought out there. Games that are in prototype stage, things like that. And that's the type of place you'll see things like that. And if you look on YouTube, I'm sure you'll see IAPA videos and even live streams, things like that, as they're happening.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool.
All right, so you're talking about the Gamergreen currency, the G's as they're known. you touched on how it started. That was one of my questions, and you kind of touched a little bit on the ways to earn the G's. But we didn't touch on all the ways to obviously winning plush from the claw machine that have the tags on them, the specially marked tags. You scratch off the scratching area, and there's a alphanumeric code, usually 6 digits, either letters or numbers, and you type that into either the app or on the website gamergreen.com, and you can earn your G tickets, and you bank them up, and then there's the store there, and you can redeem stuff. Now, one of the things that's happened over time, and I know a lot of claw players have been upset by this, and it's really pretty much in the last year, the amount of G tickets that you earn per win, if you get onto that level, I guess you could say. If you win a plush, it used to be you redeemed a code, it was 1,000 tickets. Now you guys have a randomizer for the amount of G tickets for just the plush codes, or is it all codes?
No, the mystery stuff like Prize Pagoda, Battle for the Claw, Mixed, all these things that are kind of out there, those are all 1,000. Tickets Galore goes up to, Prize Pagoda has a 5,000 G ticket winner in it, and then Tickets Galore, you could see what you're winning. Though that's like we've sort of, with Tickets Galore, we've tried to kind of replicate a ticket crane claw machine at a FEC, so you could see the amount of tickets that you're winning, and those go from 500 to 5,000. And then with plush, essentially it just got too expensive. Like especially working with NEN, NEN does a heck of a job with the quality of their plush. You look at anybody else, and just I'm talking the generic. Like the license stuff is sort of one thing, and that's great. And licenses are wonderful if the person sort of times it right. Licenses go in and out of popularity so quickly that, especially when you look at a company like NEN, to be able to get it out to, 15,000 machines or something like that, it's a very complex sort of operational thing. But their generic plush is so high quality, the value of it is so high that there's only so much, and I know they're moving their price per play to $1, but at a 50-cent price per play, there's just not enough room to be giving people 1,000 tickets. So we shifted. We created an algorithm that you can win up to 2,500 G tickets per code, but you're not getting that standardized 1,000 G tickets, kind of like when we first started with the plush. But you're getting a plush. You're getting like a pretty valuable plush still.
Yeah, absolutely. Understandable. Now, one of the big questions on that, the randomizer, if you will, I see it discussed all the time on like Facebook claw machine groups and things like that. Does the algorithm know the code beforehand and know that it's going to be giving this amount for this code, or is it absolutely a total random? I type in a code, and when I click the button, like a slot machine, a random number generator, and it just pops up a random number.
It does not. We do not put how many tickets will be per code. It's an algorithm. When the code's typed in and it comes back to our database, then it finds the number on we have an algorithm for every 100 that are entered. So when you're going to get 1 through 100 values, and that's going to come back at you whatever, just based on when you enter the code, when anybody else is entering the code, and where you are kind of in the sort of random picking of the number.
Interesting. So because that was one of the big discussions that went on is, do they know that it's going to be, that I'm only going to get 300 G's for this code and things like that. And it was kind of just a discussion that was out there in the world, and I kind of want to put it to take it to the owner and put it to rest, as to
putting it to rest. That code right now could be worth 300, and in 2 minutes it could be worth 2,500. It just doesn't. It's just all about how many people are entering at the whatever time. It's all kind of, sort of the luck of the draw, what you're going to get with the plush. Again, the mystery stuff, you're going to get at least you're going to get 1,000 or more out of the mystery.
Okay.
The prize pagoda, the battle for the claw, those types.
And that's a very good topic and point. Thank you so much for straightening that out for us and letting us know exactly what happens. And that, as you just said, it could be 300 right now, and in 2 minutes it could be 2,500. It just depends on when you enter into the website or the app. All right, guys, we do have to cut it right here. This is going to be the end of part 1 of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the All About the Arcades podcast, episode 6, part 1, all about Gamergreen and Phil Marzullo, the founder and CEO of Gamergreen, guys. Thank you so much, though, for listening. Again, my name is Joe, also known as JJ General 1, and you guys can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at that name as well, and then follow me on YouTube, where I do most of my work. And I'm known for all the arcade stuff there on YouTube. JJ General 1. You can go to youtube.com/JJ General 1. If you guys like to send me a message about the podcast, please send me a message to jminkel, MINKEL 04 at comcast.net. That's inquiries for advertising on the podcast or general questions, maybe future ideas, things like that. So thank you so much, guys, once again for listening to this part of the podcast. Episode 6, Part 1. And as I always say, I'll catch you guys next time.